Hello and welcome back to Box and Bounce Unleashed. Today, I'll be starting a new series where I choose two fights that I want to see happen from 4 weight divisions. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow me for more content like this. So let's get on with the video. Most people wouldn't expect the Super-flyweight division to appear in a video like this, as it is a lower weight division where most people don't even pay attention to it. But I feel like there are 2 fights in this division that I think should be made, and the first one is Kazuto Ioka versus Juan Francisco Estrada. Kazuto Ioka has 30 wins, 2 losses, and 0 draws. He is the current WBA Super-flyweight champion. He is a 4-weight world champion, beating respectable names such as Kosei Tanaka, a 3-division world champion, Joshua Franco in their rematch, and Donny Nietes. Kazuto Ioka is a supreme textbook example of a boxer puncher, being able to brawl in the inside with his opponents while being able to pick them apart from the outside. I feel that he is deserving on being a pound for pound list, but that is just my opinion. But a matchup I feel would elevate him to that status is a unification bout with Juan Francisco Estrada. Ioka is a great counterpuncher and has good defense when it is necessary. I believe this matchup with Estrada can either be a tactical bout or a war-like chess match. Juan Francisco Estrada is the current WBC Super-flyweight champion, having wins over the legendary Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, defeating Srisaket So Rangvisai in the rematch, and defeating Carlos Cuadras. Juan Francisco Estrada is a truly balanced fighter, just like Kazuto Ioka, but I have seen during his bouts with Chocolatito, he has high ring IQ where he was able to make quick adaptations to render Chocolatito's tactics useless. He is a great body puncher and has shown good hand speed to keep fighters off of him. Gallo has shown beautiful combination punching as he throws his punches and bunches while still being very accurate with them. This is usually enough to stop his opponent's advances. If Juan Francisco Estrada were to win this fight, he would be able to secure a future unification bout with the WBO Super-flyweight champion Junto Nakatani, or a bout at flyweight with Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who is having his upcoming fight against Sonny Edwards, where he looks to unify the IBF and WBO bouts. In my personal opinion, if this unification bout were to be made, I'd lean more towards Juan Francisco Estrada. He has fought Roman Gonzalez and Srisaket So Rangvisai, both legendary fighters, and both he avenged his losses too. Not only does Estrada have better pressure fighting, he also has a high ring IQ than Kosei Tanaka, who Kazuto Ioka faced. But this fight may have issues being made due to Estrada's lack of activity in the ring, currently only fighting in December last year. So I feel like there's a fight that first needs to be made before Estrada can come into this unification bout with Ioka. Kosei Tanaka has 19 wins, 1 loss, and 0 draws. Tanaka has faced opposition such as the likes of Ryoichi Taguchi, Angel Acosta, and Sho Kimura. Kosei Tanaka is an aggressive fighter, as he makes use of pressure, combination punches, and footwork to deal with his opponents. As said before, Kosei Tanaka is a 3-division champion, having faced Kazuto Ioka where he lost by 8-round TKO. After his loss to Ioka, Kosei Tanaka went to face on 2 other opponents who weren't ranked, but a step up in competition to face El Gallo will prove to be his toughest test, and this will solidify his status in the Super-flyweight division. I personally see this fight going 2 ways. The first way is following the same rules as the Chocolatito bout, where it's non-stop action, full aggression, and head-to-head clashing. Or it could be a back-and-forth boxing match where both boxers have their moments between the rounds. But eventually, I see Tanaka's lack of champion experience and having already got knocked out before against Ioka, who I feel would also lose to Estrada, will be his downfall. Because I see Estrada coming out with an 8 to 10th round KO. But I do believe that after this fight, Estrada could lead with the fight with either Ioka or Junto Nakatani. On to our next weight class, we have the Super-bantamweight division, which has been shaken up due to Naoya Inoue's dominant win over Stephen Fulton Jr. He is currently looking for a unification bout to become the undisputed king at his 2nd weight division with Marlon Tapales, which I believe will go into Inoue's favor. So I find 2 other fights in the division that could be interesting and bring some new life. Naoya Inoue versus John Real Casimero. John Real Casimero has 33 wins, 4 losses, and 0 draws. He has faced opposition in the form of Zulani Tete, Guillermo Rigondeaux, and Pedro Guevara. John Ray Casemiro has an all-aggressive style, which leaves his opponents wondering and worrying as they have to stay on the defensive from the opening round as he comes out swinging, looking for the knockout. This style allows him to have highlight reel knockouts, but I feel like there's still some holes in his game, seeing as he lacks fundamental boxing skills, which doesn't allow him to make good punch selection and just throws wild shots, which he usually leaps into, leaving him open to attacks and also lacking some defense security within his game. But this hardly happens due to his opponent's reservations are getting knocked out. Naoya Inoue has 25 wins, 0 losses and 0 draws. He has faced opposition such as Stephen Fulton Jr., Nonito Donaire, Adrian Hernandez and Emmanuel Rodriguez. Naoya Inoue was the former undisputed bantamweight champion and now the current WBC and WBO unified super-bantamweight champion. He is the current 4-division world champion and is coming off his knockout victory over Stephen Fulton, where he showed further dimensions of his craft to us, displaying his defense and offense, which completely stumped Fulton, leaving him wide open for the knockout. Naoya Inoue has seemingly a perfect counter-punching technique as he finds his way to hit his opponents as they are hitting him or through their guard. Inoue has shown also his good body punching as he is able to hit the liver in the most tightest of guards and drop his opponents and leaving them keeling over in pain. In this Fulton fight, he has shown good defense and patience so he knows when to strike, being able to reserve his punches and being able to release his punches. Even though I feel like this fight would be interesting, having Inoue and Casemiro's power punches landing on each other and seeing who gets dropped first, I still believe that there will be a one-sided affair in Inoue's favor, seeing as Casemiro lacks any skill to stop Inoue and his power not being truly strong enough to drop him, seeing as Inoue has taken hits from Nonito Donaire where he even cracked his orbital bone but still was able to keep standing up and be fine throughout the entire fight. Inoue's techniques and his best shots being the body punch will truly stop Casemiro. I truly believe that Inoue can finish this fight between 6 and 8 rounds, showing his beautiful boxing masterclass and his power punch selection. So onward to our next fight, Stephen Fulton Jr. vs. Mirojan Akhmadaliev. Stephen Fulton Jr. has 21 wins, 1 loss and 0 draws. He is the former unified super-bantamweight champion, facing challengers such as Daniel Roman, Brandon Figueroa and Arnold Kaigai. Fulton is recently coming off a knockout loss to Naoya Inoue, but he still has the skills to prove that he is the top of the division. He is a skilled and slick boxer with great counterpunching and a solid jab that can keep most boxers away from him. Fulton also has the ability to brawl with boxers when the time is required. A fight with the former unified champion Mirojan Akhmadaliev would answer fight fans' hypothetical situations if Fulton had faced Akhmadaliev instead of Inoue. Mirojan Akhmadaliev was a former unified super-bantamweight champion, losing his belt in a close contest with Marlon Tapales. Mirojan Akhmadaliev has a brawler-like style, which allows him to push opponents against the ropes and beat them down with brutal body shots or push them against the corner where he is able to finish them off with ease. Mirojan Akhmadaliev has the tendency to get hit on his way into his opponent's guard to beat them up, but this doesn't stop him as he continues to push forward and beat his opponents down. I feel like this fight would be very interesting to see, as we would finally see what would have happened if Stephen Fulton had fought Akhmadaliev and Akhmadaliev had not lost his belts to Marlon Tapales. But I still have this fight leaning towards Fulton, due to the simple fact he is a slick boxer and can box on the outside pretty well and can run around the ring, making it harder for Akhmadaliev to corner Fulton and try and hit him with his body shots and post pressure on him. The only times I see Akhmadaliev having success in the fight is when Fulton tries to fight him on the inside, as Fulton has a tendency to fight on the inside when he really doesn't need to. But other than that, I still feel like Akhmadaliev would be outboxed during those 12 rounds and get a 12-round unanimous decision loss to Stephen Fulton Jr. We move on to the light heavyweight division, which has very interesting potential fights to be made. Seeing as Bivol currently has no fights lined up for him and better be fighting Callum Smith on January 2024, I feel like there are potentially interesting fights that can be made here that involve Bivol and possibly Beterbiev. Dmitry Bivol vs. Alexander Gvozdyk. Dmitry Bivol is the current WBA light heavyweight champ and a pound-for-pound star. Bivol has faced tough opposition such as Joe Smith Jr., Gilberto Ramirez, and Canelo Alvarez. Bivol makes use of an adaptation of the Soviet style of boxing, using the pendulum step and an extended lead arm which allows him to keep distance from his opponents. Bivol's Soviet style makes use of flashy American techniques such as keeping his hands down and moving around, which helps him keep his balance and increase his movement speed when it comes to dodging punches. Bivol also makes use of a traditional Russian left hook, which is quick and strong and can drop opponents when they're not expecting it. When Bivol fights, it's at his own tempo, making it so that opponents are forced to break the tempo or fall into traps that he sets up for them. These traps usually allow him to set up dangerous and fast combinations which can break down opponents, dropping them and putting them on the canvas. Bivol makes use of great range control using his extended leader hand and a good jab which keeps opponents off of him. This jab can stop most opponents from getting into their rhythm while leaving opponents open for Bivol's lengthy combinations and signature Soviet left hook. Alexander Gvozdyk is the former WBC light heavyweight champion, only losing his belts to Beterbiev in an intense back-and-forth confrontation. Alexander has good names on his resume, such as Adonis Stevenson, Craig Baker, and Mehdi Amar. Alexander Gvozdyk is a technically proficient fighter, having solid fundamentals in his bag, good use of a jab, nice range control, and solid power with added precision to knock any of those who are trying to get in a firefight with him or breaking through his opponent's defenses. I feel like this matchup would be truly interesting for Bivol, as Gvozdyk gave Beterbiev one of his toughest challenges yet, and Bivol is trying to prepare for an undisputed bout with Beterbiev. But I truly feel like this bout would mostly work in Bivol's favor, due to Alexander Gvozdyk coming off a loss to Beterbiev and not fighting that many high-skilled opponents, and Bivol coming off a win over Gilberto Ramirez and Saul Canelo Alvarez. I feel like his experience over tougher fighters and pressure fighters will give him the experience he needs to beat Gvozdyk down, either grabbing a 12th round unanimous decision or a stoppage between the 10th and 12th round. Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev is the current unified light heavyweight champion, having strong names on his resume, like the aforementioned Alexander Gvozdyk, Marcus Brown, Anthony Yarde, Joe Smith Jr., and Enrico Cooling. Beterbiev has a brutal fighting style, with underrated defense and good power to go along with it. Beterbiev uses a mixture of accuracy and power punches to break through his opponent's guard and knock them down, hence why he has a 100% knockout ratio. Beterbiev has underrated defense than most people give credit for. Beterbiev has shown how to manipulate the guard, break out of clinches, and Beterbiev has shown that he can even dodge punches too. Most people don't see it, as they mostly see Beterbiev for the knockout beast that he is. But I feel Beterbiev is a more skilled boxer than people give him credit for. Even though this fight should have been made already, it's currently being held under wraps due to the WBC commissioner Mauricio Suleiman blocking both fighters from fighting due to having ties of Russian origin and due to Russia's war on Ukraine. But even if this ban was lifted, I still feel like it will be a difficult and yet exciting match to watch. Because on the one hand, we have Bivol, technically sound boxer, has outboxed a lot of great fighters, can brutalize opponents with combination punches, keep people off the range, but we haven't seen his chin truly tested. We've seen him rocked, but we've never seen him dropped by a stronger puncher than the one he's faced in Johan Pascal. So I feel like Beterbiev would offer that new dimension of challenge to him. Then on the other hand, we have Beterbiev. Even though he's getting on the older side of age, he's still a devastating and dangerous fighter. I feel like Beterbiev might and ever so slightly beat Bivol. But if they were to fight for a time, I'd give Beterbiev the 3 matches and Bivol the 2 matches. And all the matches that Beterbiev fight, I feel like would only go to unanimous decision. Because I feel like Bivol won't allow Beterbiev to get some clean shots in. But I truly feel that Bivol has the skill, ring IQ, and speed to dodge and evade Beterbiev for as long as he can. So I feel like even though Beterbiev might have the advantage in this fight, we never know. Bivol has caused upsets before and this might not be the last time. Lastly, we'll be covering the middleweight division. I feel that the middleweight division is suffering due to Triple G being inactive from the sport and Andrade trying to move out to super middleweight to get a fight with David Benavidez. But there's still some contenders here that can give us a meaningful fight in this division and hopefully breathe life into the division. Janabek Alim Kaneli versus Iruslan Lara. Janabek has 14 wins, 0 losses and 0 draws. He is the current WBO middleweight champion. He has faced opposition such as Danny Dignam, Hassam Indam Jakam and Steven Butler. Janabek has gotten his titles and made a tear through the division using his new Kazakh style, which involves being in and out of the fight, hit without getting it, and using his great counter-punching ability, such as his left uppercut, which seems to knock down every opponent that is met with it. Janabek has displayed his skills and talent across the division, seeing as he's a feared fighter and having very brutal combination punches. I see him as the next king of the middleweight division, but first he has to go through his opponent, Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara has 29 wins, 3 losses, and 3 draws. Lara has faced stiff competition such as Saul Canelo Alvarez, Jared Hurd, Brian Castano, and Austin Trout. He is the current WBA regular middleweight champion. Lara is a true master of the slick boxing style, embracing the ideology of hitting without getting hit. Lara has a semi-decent left hand which can go through opponents' guards and when they least expect it, drop them. Lara is a very defensively responsible fighter. He is aware of the ring positioning, so he knows when he's able to move out of danger and make opponents swing through the ring. Lara is a very technically sound fighter, making sure none of his moves are wasted. So I feel Lara would be Janabek's toughest test to date because Lara is more defensively responsible than all the fighters that Janabek has ever faced. If both boxers are able to meet in the ring, I feel like it will create an exciting style matchup. We have to see which style is better, the slick American boxing style or the Kazakh style offered by Janabek. I feel that even though Erislandy Lara has great fighting, great slick boxing skills, higher IQ, face stiffer competition, more experience, I feel like they all get cut out due to Janabek Alam Kanali's own Kazakh style. Because Erislandy Lara faced a man of opponents who run into him instead of him running into them. So I feel that personally, Erislandy Lara will find difficulty trying to counter the Kazakh style, which is more defensively and passively offensive than actually actively aggressive. So I feel like Janabek will be able to catch Lara trying to initiate the conflict and either drop Lara to the canvas or win a 12-round unanimous decision or a split decision, depending on who's judging the fight. But I personally feel that Janabek has the skill set and technical know-how to drop Lara, and I feel like I will predict an 8th to 10th round stoppage. Jamal Charlo versus Carlos Adames. Although Jamal Charlo has been inactive for 2 years, I still feel like he still has the ability to return to boxing and start off with an easy fight in Carlos Adames. But I still feel like this fight will still test him to see if he truly has the fighter spirit that we've all been begging for. Jamal Charlo has 32 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. He has faced boxers such as Sergey Devryanchenko, Dennis Hogan, and Austin Trout. He is an aggressive fighter with a decent jab. Most opponents aren't expecting a strong jab, which leads him to getting dropped. But his aggression and use of power punches allows him to drop and dominate during the fight. Charlo is also defensively responsible as he knows when it is time to back up and stop his aggression. But a fight with Carlos Adames can show us that Jamal Charlo is truly the fighter that he claims to be. Carlos Adames has 32 wins, 1 loss, and 0 draws. He has faced opposition such as Sergey Devryanchenko, Julian Williams, and Juan Masis Montiel. Carlos Adames is an aggressive boxer that uses his non-stop aggression, pressure, and footwork to cut off the ring and brutalize his opponents on the ropes, or uses his head movement and defensive proficiency to dodge punches and get on the inside of his opponent's guard. Carlos Adames is known to drop his opponents and use his pressure to make sure that they can't get any rhythm in the fight. So I truly believe that he's a decent opponent for Jamal Charlo, an aggressive boxer as well, but less aggressive to the extent that Adames is. I, however, feel like this battle will come down to one thing, and that's Jamal Charlo's ring rust. If Jamal Charlo doesn't get that ring rust polished off, he will either lose between the 5th to 7th round by KO or stoppage by Carlos Adames. Since Adames has been mostly active, is a great fighter, great inside fighter, and is more willing to take risks, unlike Jamal Charlo, who hasn't been taking a decent risk in a long time in a career. So I feel like Carlos Adames has a great and high chance of winning this fight and taking WBC belt off of Jamal Charlo. This wraps up today's boxing matchup madness. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and for more content like this, click on this video for a highlight reel on Jamal Charlo for his upcoming bout with Saul Canelo Alvarez. Till next time, fight fans, it's your boy TJ. See you next round.